Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, no.
There's a lot of talk about this Saturday, September 23rd. Conspiracy theorists are predicting on that date a new planet is supposed to collide with the Earth, something scientists say won't happen. You are watching what flashed across some television screens in Southern California just after 11 o'clock this morning. Some heard what started as an emergency alert and turned into a warning of the end of the world. This Irvine mom was shocked.
Because I kind of questioned what it was and asked somebody else that was in the house, what do you think this is? I've never seen anything like this before. It was weird.
She's not the only one. On YouTube, another Orange County woman posted the same bizarre emergency alert, and another viewer saw the alert seconds before the station returned to C-SPAN. Tonight on social media, hundreds are commenting on the end of the world prediction. One woman said, "I saw it too." A woman who lives in West Hills said she saw it while watching a show on Time Warner Spectrum. From USA Today to online chat rooms, there's a lot of talk about this Saturday, September 23rd. Some conspiracy theorists are predicting on that date a new planet is supposed to collide with the Earth, something scientists say won't happen. A spokesperson at Cox told us today's alert wasn't an end times message at all. It was someone's mistake, possibly an Orange County radio station, and maybe even a hacker. In a statement issued tonight, a spokesperson said the radio station that sent the alert didn't turn off their programming when the alert ended. For a short time, some heard programming that was on the radio. Now, some suspect that it may have been.
Yeah, we're going to repeal Obamacare, but we're going to send more money to the people who've already gotten the richest over the last 10 years. I mean, that's what this does, no? I'm not a leftist, it's just that's true.
I'm not a leftist, that's true.
We will not allow American cities to be threatened with destruction.
Broken procession a mile long. Supporters lined the route in solidarity.
We are mobilizing all over the world.
Explanation, in my opinion. That's the conclusion that I was brought to, based on my almost 30 years of experience.
And you know that steel melts in thousands of degrees and
Yes.
all this, and to see steel bent like that, but have vegetation and plant life and eucalyptus trees.
The holes that were burned through the hoods of cars all the way through the engine block are a little bit suspicious.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah.
California has one of the highest sprinkler laws in the country.
Not natural phenomena, unnatural phenomena. Like I said, I've never seen anything like it.
No coincidence, bruh. Hey, be safe, bruh. There's things going on. Hey, things out of our control. Do you guys really believe there's 4 separate fires? Look at this. No way. Do you guys really think that there's this many random fires that separate apart as a coincidence? Nah, I don't believe it one bit.
Small fires fueled by extreme winds merged into 6 massive fires, burning more than 200,000 acres, destroying 8,900 structures, and killing 43 people. The biggest fires were in Sonoma and Napa counties. The official state incident report shows they started within 15 minutes of each other from 9:45 to 10 p.m. on Sunday, October 8th. By midnight, fires were also burning in Mendocino and Lake counties. The pocket fire broke out at 3:30. It would take 23 days before all the fires were contained. And the most deadly and destructive fire was the Tubbs fire in Santa Rosa.
ABC 7 Morning's Amy Hollyfield and photographer Steve Stifter were among the first TV crews to cover the west flank of the massive fire, where the flames jumped Highway 101. Here's a look at how that morning unfolded and what happened over the next 6 hours.
Everyone's going in the opposite direction we were as we're headed toward the fire. We saw this. This is along Highway 101. It is so windy out here. Kaiser Permanente, they are evacuating the hospital. Look at all of these people. A very stressful situation as they try to get these very ill people out of here. Oh, this is heartbreaking. But they are doing a wonderful job. Look at what is left of this mobile home park. This is the Journeys Inn mobile home park. Fire has torn through this and destroyed the entire place. And fire is still raging. This is why they evacuated the hospital. We're looking at a gun shop and a cannabis shop, and that explains all to push forward north a little more, and we have found some more destruction. So we want to show you, this is the Applebee's on Airway and confirm. We have found a neighborhood that has been wiped out. We are in Coffee Park. I was interviewing a Cal Fire battalion chief earlier this morning, and he said, this is a fire of a lifetime.
Here, the fire's so massive, it looks like a volcano is erupting in this area. You look at the satellite imagery, the images from the ground all the way around, it is just absolutely massive.
My name is Pilar Arias, here with you on News Now, part of Fox10Phoenix.com. I'm going to let you know what we know about this fire so far. We have learned that at 2:04 local time, a brush fire ignited in the area of Hill Canyon in Santa Rosa. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for Camarillo Springs and Cal State Channel Islands. Again, this is in Ventura County, California, the same county where this morning's, or last night into this morning's mass shooting happened at a bar and grill. Second alarm fire, more than 165 firefighters on scene, 8 air tankers on order for the 100-acre brush fire. When and if we learn anything new, we will let you know. To 10,000 acres with mandatory evacuations in Camarillo Springs and a hard closure of the US 101. That's the 101 freeway north and south. That's according to Ventura County Fire Department Public Information Office. So again, 8 to 10,000 acres, mandatory evacuations in place. The 101 north and south in Ventura County completely closed. By the way, for those Californians watching, specifically those in Ventura County, California, we're hearing that the Hill Fire is the most major one in SoCal right now, but that there could be 2 other smaller ones. And when we say smaller, they're still in the hundreds of acres, perhaps. But that's exactly what Fox Los Angeles's chopper is trying to show us. Just absolutely devastating conditions in California right now, everybody. Fox 11 Los Angeles is also covering the fire dubbed the Camp Fire. Lake Oroville State Recreation Area has been impacted by that fire. Lime Saddle Campground and Marina is closed and has been evacuated due to the fire and air quality. That's the latest from California State Parks. KTTV, Fox 11 Los Angeles, our sister station, continuing to tweet and provide all these aerials and retweet. Total Traffic LA reporting closed in Camarillo on US 101 southbound at Pleasant Valley Road. We have since learned that both directions of the 101 are closed now. Ventura County Fire tweeting the Hill brush fire upgraded to a second alarm with more than 165 firefighters on scene, 8 air tankers on order for what was a 100-acre brush fire. Mandatory evacuations issued for Camarillo Springs area. We have since learned, and that first tweet about how it was a 100-acre brush fire was an hour ago. We have since learned that the fire is now 8 to 10,000 acres. You're watching News Now, part of Fox10Phoenix.com. Continuing to follow this breaking news. Fox LA reporter Bill Malugin tweeting traffic on 101 northbound coming to a standstill as the Hill fire looms ahead. 2 fires in California, Northern California, Bay Area near Chico. You've got the Camp Fire causing evacuations, and now the Hill Fire causing evacuations.
The actual point of ignition for this was about 1 or 2 miles at the most. I didn't actually take a measurement from the shooting, the mass shooting, which took place about almost exactly 12 hours, 13 hours actually, to the minute of this breaking out at 2:23, according to the incident report by CAL FIRE. Now, it broke out because you have to look into these things, because the media is not going to tell you, because it's just weird to say, and I'm not saying they're doing it deliberately. We assume they do it deliberately, but you're just not going to be able to see those things if you work in media. You know what I mean? It's like if you're really rich, unless you're Trump, God ain't going to use you for the team. It's kind of like, yeah, no, don't qualify yet. Sacrifice more, and maybe I'll think about it. But it started at Santa Rosa Road in the town of Santa Rosa, that's in the city of Thousand Oaks. At this exact moment, we have the Paradise Fire, approximately 400 miles to the north, which is now the most destructive and biggest fire that had a record pace of fire ignition. It moved at 60 football fields a minute. I'm just saying, when you do the math and you realize it went from there to there in one day and burned 25,000 houses. They said it was the most destructive fire in California history, but they didn't tell me that the other fires in California history all lasted 2 or 3 months. This burned down every house in 12 hours. Exactly. That's when you begin to go, holy shit. Literally. But
this fire is growing rapidly. Get this, spreading 80 football fields per minute. That's hard to even get our heads around, isn't it?
The course of the fire. Where did the fire start?
Fire started in the community of Polga at about 6:30 in the morning on November 8th, and it was quickly accelerated by 40-mile-an-hour winds coming from the north.
Look at this.
The fire was growing at this time at a rate of 1 football field a second. So it took 12 hours to essentially consume all of that as a record pace.
How many acres in total?
153,300 acres.
Wow. What's going on?
Camp Fire. This wildfire is engulfing towns in Northern California at a rate of about 80 football fields per minute. It is hopscotching across Northern California, and that's insane. So,
this went out in a day. The big fire is because an ember apparently flew from this fire all the way down to a mystery location, which is actually the Rocketdyne Boeing test facility in the Santa Susana Mountains on the outskirts near Simi Valley and the borderline of Los Angeles County. At the same moment, according to the incident report, oh my, that rate of distance is, I don't believe it was an ember, Donald. I don't either, Susie. I don't. And he'll show this. This is a huge mistake. that was allowed to go out into public. The helicopter pilot cuts to the right and shows you the flyer. And at one point, they even start flashing things on the screen like, don't do it. Don't. Stop. Don't show the people that there are two fires at the same fucking time. I swear to you, they did that. I swear, I'm not lying about that. That's what my whole foundation's on. So if you want to attack me on that, you go ahead. You ain't going to come out the moat. They started at the same time. Yeah, in 13 months to the day. To the exact day? To the exact day.
Ventura County, California, going through so much right now, everybody.
Yeah.
It is where our nation's latest mass shooting happened.
See what I'm saying? Playa.
And now we're learning about this hill fire. We did just get a tweet to Fox 10 Phoenix shared with News Now.
Tweet.
It reads, quote, "You guys are the only ones streaming Hillfire coverage, so a lot of us here are watching. Thank you. FYI, it's Camarillo." All right. Looks like I think I know how to say that right.
Some people say, you're crazy, it's on their head. You're crazy, it's on their head.
Campfire, both in California. One Northern California, Butte County, one Southern California, Ventura County. If you were to drive, it would take you about 7 hours and 44 minutes, 468 miles pretty much between the two counties. Now, the exact fire sites, I'm not quite sure. Ventura County Fire Department taking to Twitter to say the Hill Fire is 8,000 to 10,000 acres and there are mandatory evacuations for Cal State Channel Islands, Dos Vientos.
I'm sorry, the tractors caught fire. Did you know they were flammable? Who started that fire? What the? Weird. Isn't that kind of weird? It's an anomaly. An ember. It was an ember. The demon ember. You don't touch me, they're demon embers. You don't know what we're talking about yet, but you will.
Those little demon embers. Yeah, take a look behind me, Kim. It is really flaring up. I was just on about 30 minutes ago down the hill. This is what I'm talking about. Embers flew about a quarter to half mile away over to this hillside and immediately turned into that lava floating through the air. Those are the embers, Kim, Steve, those are the embers they talk about can go 5 feet to up to a mile away and immediately turned into that lava effect that Steve referred to. It looked like lava. That's where this is getting out of control. Those little demon embers can go a mile away. That starts a spot fire, and that spot fire starts another one of these things. So, yeah, it's unbelievable being out here. And the heat, guys, it is amazing how hot it is out here.
How hot it is around that fire.
That's you guys in the studio.
And the winds blowing those embers. And why you're showing us that is it's the example that we've all been describing throughout the day, that the winds with those kind of embers just keep this thing moving.
In the neighborhood there,
just keep this thing moving.
In the neighborhood there is any...
VC emergency.
There it is. Yes, there it is. Nice. And that's the Woolsey. And he wouldn't cut to it, man. They wouldn't let him cut to it. See? Get away, get away. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Faster and destroyed not only homes but deep infrastructure. The fire was no different than any other.
Overtook another Oak Park home despite firefighters' efforts. Even when they think they have this under control, Embers fall on another house.
Some homes to stop the fire from leapfrogging and catching other homes on fire.
30,000 people have been evacuated. Up the Hill fire topped 10,000 acres yesterday. Hundreds of firefighters are still struggling to contain it.
And John is with us now from Oak Park, California, which, as we just said, is being devastated by this fire. John, what is it like right now where you are? We can still see the flames burning behind you.
With embers falling from these fires overnight, this neighborhood, 15 to 20 houses burned here overnight. This is one of them. This was all driven by these wind-driven embers falling down into this neighborhood, just suddenly lighting up a home. Others around it were standing here and there. Homes have been destroyed.
So, listen, John, as I understand it, we were aware that there was a fire burning, say, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday in the area, but overnight, things changed dramatically. What happened?
The air here now is clear. The smoke has been blown away, but the fire was coming from over to the west of us overnight, driven by the winds. Embers were falling into this neighborhood, put it down to the winds and very dry conditions. It's too dangerous. Firefighters came in, evacuated this area. This fire moves very quickly. That's why people are gone.
What's the plan for firefighters?
Plans for firefighters are now what they seem to be in California all the time. Less than an hour ago, there were fire trucks all around us here now. Those firefighters have had to...
Of this DC-10 tanker, the site of this heavenly site of this DC-10 tanker, and what seemed to be a God-sent gift of gallons of pink goo.
Mulholland Road, there was 3 power poles that were lit up in flames, and there were fire crews that just toppled onto that. They came over, put everything out. What crews are now dealing with in the hardest hit areas. When our photojournalists started driving along Canaan Dune last weekend, they had to zigzag around down power lines. Other roads were impassable. These winds can push things just across the 101. We are checking to see how the evacuation...
101 freeway, it looks like...
Oh no.
Out here examining the power poles. Take a look at some of the video that we shot earlier. There was a power pole that was just completely sparking, crackling like a sparkler, like a...
We're on fire and snapping. So that means there's power lines draping over the freeway right now. So as we were driving, thankfully, Jacob, who's with me, could see these black power lines lowering down into the freeway area. On the 101, where it's closed, one of the scariest sights that we saw is that one of the reasons I think they have it closed is because the utility poles on either side of the freeway were on fire.
In defensive mode right now. You can hear some of the engines here, and you can get a sense of what is going on. Now, on this driveway, you've got this firefighter. He is running the fire hose, and at this point, he's got to try to reposition himself. But there is just a number of water hoses being poured onto this house. At this point, you know that this house is not livable anymore. So what they're trying to do is contain the flames here, because the last thing you want to do is have them continuously jump from one house to the next. And that is exactly what has been happening right now. You know, Jeff, earlier when we were driving here, I was listening to some of your reporting. You were talking about how embers can fly sometimes a mile, sometimes a mile and a half. And Ken, if you pan up here, you can see some of the embers that are shooting into the air. And that's what makes these fires so dangerous, because when the wind goes through here, even though you've got these streams of water trying to use to douse these homes, you can see all of the embers shooting into the air. And you can see just how hard this work is, because when you look at the water that's pouring off of that house, that water is super dark. Now let's back up a little bit so they can have a little bit of space. I follow one of them right now. And you can see it's just back-breaking work, and they're doing it uphill. And now, you know, it's almost like whack-a-mole, right? Because you can't really focus your attention on any one point. So while he's working here, he's got his colleague right there. Ken, if you can pan to the right and show some of the firefighters right there. And then on top of that, Ken, if you can just pivot to your right, look at the hillside. And now we've got some of these embers raining down on us. So, hey Ken, let's back up just a little bit so we can give these guys a little bit of space to work. But while we're looking down this way, Ken, if you can pan to the hillside, you can see just how the hillsides are burning right now in addition to what's going on. And that's why it's so easy for these flames to just kind of move about in such a erratic behavior. They shift and they go to the east. So it's really hard to kind of predict where they're going to go. And as we walk a little bit farther, you can see, Ken, over here, this car alarm is going off. And you can see why, because this used to be a van and now it is on fire. In addition to the van that's on fire, on top of that, it's a tree that's burning as well. So, game plan, I think, is just try to put out the first thing you see, Jeff. And as the wind is blowing towards me, you know what I mean? So, you can hear the level of urgency from these guys because they're trying to just hit everything that pops up in front of them. Okay, so we're going to back up just a little bit when we hear that popping noise.
And we certainly also don't want to get in their way. Now, Jeff, you said that you're on Church.
Absolutely.
You're on Churchwood Drive. You're north of Canaan Road, right? I think you are.
I'm not sure in terms of where I am in relation to Canaan. I am off of Canaan, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're north of Canaan. This is where Oak Hills.
To be quite frank,
yeah, this is where Oak Hills Elementary School is. Los Arcos Drive. Los Arcos Drive. Los Arcos Drive.
It might come towards us, so be careful.
So, yeah, it's unbelievable being out here, and the heat burning, and the embers. I don't know if it's easy to see. Can you guys see the embers? I don't know if it's easy to see. Can you guys see embers floating through the sky?
Yes.
They're floating through the air. Those are the embers. Kim, Steve, those are the embers they talk about can go 5 feet to up to a mile away and immediately turn it into that lava effect that Steve referred to. It looked like lava. That's where this is getting out of control. Those little demon embers can go a mile away. That starts a spot fire.
How hot it is around that fire.
That's you guys in the studio.
And the winds blowing those embers. And why you showing us that is it's the example that we've all been describing throughout the day, that the winds with those kind of embers just keep this thing moving.
In the neighborhood there is anybody.
It's a horrible sign. And the wind, you can see me right now, the wind is still blowing, guys.
Yeah, there's those gusts we've been talking about. Angelica has been watching that.
Amazing how hot it is out here. This is getting out of control. Those little demon embers.
And why you showing us that is it's the example that we've all been describing throughout the day, that the winds with those kind of embers just keep this thing moving.
This event was the worst case scenario. It's the event that we have feared for a long time. And over the course of the years,
wealthy mobile home parks completely gone. Mike?
The pictures are just unbelievable. Have officials determined what caused these fires?
Yeah, here in Southern California, so sorry, Mike, here comes a gust of wind and a lot of ash. Here in Southern California, they have no idea what sparked these fires, so they're still obviously investigating. In Northern California, SoCal Edison, the electric company, they actually have reported that something happened 2 minutes before the fire was sparked, some sort of electrical short. So that may have been the cause of that huge fire up north. They're obviously going to look into that more, and hopefully we'll get more details further on.
Mission from God!
For me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
The Cadillac for a microphone. Then you lied to me about the band. Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint.
They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
Well, this is definitely Lower Wacker Drive. If my estimations are correct,